grass is blue. I need a meal ticket by the end of 2022. With my Bonnie on my side, running up the bag too. Back pains, I've been pushing heavyweight around. Half a ticket in the Louis backpack, fuck waiting round. Dodging them unmarked cars, bout to fuck up the town. Rest in peace, Mo 3. Real niggas gon' hold you down like Bootsy Badass, cause that nigga still holding you down.
For so long, they hate to see.
They hate it.
Only phone, the radio, or the TV screen. When you leave, you alone. It's hard to be.
She said it won't let her in.
And they don't wanna see you.
What we doing for?
From the ghetto, like my partner's me.
Every day.
Dedicated out the mud to feed my mama.
We out here.
Ooh, I'm on the ass.
Hey, Mo, we still on the ass.
I'm finna come first. Finna hear the word hurt.
Yeah. From St. Louis to the D. Fast lane 747. Rest in peace, Mo 3. Your soul shall live on, bro. It's one of them chosen ones. They can never stop. Once we make history, it's already in the books, Poppy. Yeah. I appreciate you for blessing this one for me. Cause we still in the motherfucking ghetto every day. St. Louis to the D.
Real we don't know and they don't wanna see you eat. I come from the ghetto like my partner's me. Dedicated out the mud to feed my mama. Ooh, I'm on the ass.
What's up? It's your girl, Miss Kiwi in the building.
Fast lane in the building.
Yes, and we also got
Miss Mink in the building.
We got a great show for you all tonight, so tune in. Call in 515-599-1687. We have thank our viewers and our listeners. Tonight's show is paid in full. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
Full.
So I'm really excited.
Yes, we are very excited.
Yes, why not say it? Where our vision is to bridge the gap between the youth and our season. Everyone's voice needs to be heard. And tonight, believe me, it will be heard. We have a special guest that's going to be joining us. He's an author and a life coach. And he just had a book published. So real excited to have him on to talk about and share his story and his views on tonight. I want to read you a little bit, a little part of the book to get us started. My book is based on a journey that I am grateful for. I'm very blessed to have had such an experience and to share the struggles of my relationships, personality, emotional and mental trauma, and physical abuse at an early age. Looking through the lens of trauma and experiencing the residual pain and hurt, I began building a belief system out of fear, with no trust but in confusion. It landed me in a state of homelessness, drug addiction, and institution and prison. Through all my struggles, I reached a point of seeing the true meaning of insanity. My life became a vicious cycle of doing the same thing over and over while expecting different results. We know that that's insane. The definition of insanity. Once I realized this, I turned my life around by doing the opposite of what I had conditioned myself to. I began to educate myself through reading and studying, eventually going back to school to get my Bachelor of Science in film and an associate's in art and psychology. So we got something. It's gonna be good. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead in just a few moments, just introduce our author so that we can get this topic going. And Miss Kiwi is going to have the audience to call in. But before it is that we get going, as Miss Kiwi stated, our topic tonight is paid in full. I did my time. My debt to society is paid in full. When will society stop making one pay and let me live? It's time for me to live. Yes. So, Yeah, as society, human beings, we as Christians and just humans, period, we all have our faults and our shortcomings. But at what point do we stop being held to that standard of what it is that we've done previously? When can we just begin to grow? When can we begin to let all of that hurt go? When can we begin to be able to come a part of society again and stop being held accountable for what it is that we've already paid for? So I'm going to bring us on in, introduce our co-host, our guest, Impede. He is on the line. Michael Powell.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes. Hello there. How you doing
is
this
it feedback?
No, we can hear you loud and clear. What's up with you, brother?
Hey, what's going on, people?
How you doing today? This evening, brother.
I'm good.
That's good. That's good. All right now, so we're gonna get started with this. We just want to know, first off, introduce yourself and give us a little bit about you. In the interview that I did with you earlier, you kind of spoke a little bit on, how you got to this point in your life, and we just kind of want to hear from you a little bit about impede and how did you come about with impede?
Hey, first I want to say that I want to say thank you for having me on you guys' show and giving me this opportunity to be able to interact and speak on and share some of the things that I believe in my book, and to be able to talk a little bit about my book.
Okay, speaking of your book, how did Lose Your Mind, Find Your Soul come about?
Well, first of all, it came about from my life experiences. And when I speak of experiences, I'm not just talking about everything that I've went through, but also what I've done to others, you know what I'm saying, and their reaction. One of the most powerful things that pushed me forward to begin on a different journey was realizing the pain and hurt that I felt and what it brought me to. And the next thing I started to think about, what I dished out from that perspective and that mind state, and so I thought about other people's perspective, and I was like, damn, if I'm going to be brutally honest with myself, you know what I'm saying? Shit, it seemed like I get everything I deserve, right? And so in thinking like that, I'm like, damn, but I'm still a human, but
right.
How do I begin to even process what it is that I done been through, what I deserve and what I don't deserve if I don't consider someone else? Okay. And what their perspective on things is, because that's the only way that I can get honest with myself, is being able to hear others' opinions and what they got to say. So with that being said, I can tell you one of the things that stand out in my mind is in this transition and in this change was how hard it was, right? And what I mean by that is accepting myself for who I was. And I couldn't even begin to accept myself for who I was because I didn't have knowledge of self.
Okay.
I didn't know who I was. Okay. I lost that person a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? And so that struck a nerve in me, and I got real emotional about it. And I noticed when I got emotional about it, it affected me more so mentally. Like, I became real confused, as though I didn't even know what to do or what direction to go into, which I didn't. So I began to seek therapy. And this is when the reality hit me. I couldn't even trust the therapist to give me no information. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't. I couldn't even begin to listen to what they had to say because I have, like the young lady Miss Mink was speaking about accountability and the conditioning society, this how we see society and how we live in society. You know what I mean? I had conditioned myself so much to whereas that trust wasn't an option. I didn't trust nobody because I didn't even trust myself. Come to realize all the stuff that I was feeding or I was equating to trust was either outside of me or it was someone else's perspective, you know. So when I got in with a therapist and they began to tell me, you know, things that they see listening to me, I felt like they had a whole different angle. Which in reality, they did have a different angle. They supposed to have a different angle, you know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking like, okay, all right, so now they want to critique me and shoot me down or say I'm this and say I'm that. So now I begin to see all of this and that and then. I shot therapy out the water. You know what I'm saying? so as time goes on, I done got so I done caught so much of a complex to whereas that I was like, you ain't the type of therapist I want to deal with.
Well, what type of therapist did you want to deal with at that time?
Well, the type of therapist I wanted to deal with at the time was going to tell me what I wanted to hear.
Oh, okay, I got
you. The therapist I wanted to deal with was going, you know what I'm saying, feed that victim mentality and keep on validating. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So but that's where it began but that ain't where it stopped at. So I stepped away from that and I'm like, shit, I'm gonna do my own thing. I can get my own mind right. I got this. But the reality of it was that I didn't know how deep it was cut, how deep it went, you know, how rooted it was in me until I read Dr. Claude Anderson book, and he was talking about how to build an economy. And in his book of talking about building the economy, he was talking about the stages and the psychological effect of mental stages that we have to have in building this economy, you know, especially when it came to agriculture and all that kind of stuff, you know, as far as what we eat, what we think, how we think, what we feed our mind, what we feed our bodies and stuff like that. So at that point, it struck me. I was like, damn, you know, all I know about is the streets. All I know about is defense. All I know about is war. All I know about is drugs. I know how to use drugs. I know how to sell drugs. You know what I'm saying? And then out of that, then became the manipulation ideal. I thought about it. I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I ain't just been getting over manipulating somebody else, but I done manipulated the fuck out myself.
Okay.
Excuse my language, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But, and with that being said, to equate it on a more understanding, I'm talking about a belief system, right? I'm talking about how I built that belief system. And how I built that belief system was through pain and hurt. You feel me? Out of that pain and hurt, I visualized a life for myself that came to pass, like prison.
So speaking of prison, not to cut you off, speaking of prison, in your interview, you had mentioned to me something about you went back to the penitentiary.
Well, at that time we was talking, you know what I'm saying? I was speaking, I was kind of like allegorically, I mean metaphorically speaking, relating that to the fact that I had to go back to the lab again, right?
Okay.
And when I speak of that, you know, a lot of people might disagree with me, but my hunger and pain has been my motivation.
Okay.
My hunger and pain and the things that I've gone through in there has also been the thing that drove me forward. You feel what I'm saying?
Okay.
And now you would ask, like, okay, in what you just said, you know what I'm saying? You had the wrong concept. You had the thinking, you was self-destructing. But when you begin to build something, you got to tear it down to construct it. You got to destruct to construct. You know what I'm saying? So in that construction stage, I started realizing the tools that I had to make me strong again. And that was the things that I experienced, you know, because when I was in prison, you know what I'm saying, I was focused on myself. When I was in prison, I was getting my mind together by reading and exercising and elevating my spirituality, you know what I'm saying? So when I made that statement out of the sense of it was a cycle. I had to go back to the basics. I had to go back to the beginning of where it was all good for me. I mean, that point wasn't my childhood, but that point was a point where I felt my best and I felt my strongest. I elevated my energy. I elevated my spirit. You know what I'm saying? And I was able to get through a rough time. And this happened in a rough time. So why can't I do it now? So I went back to the penitentiary, allegorically speaking.
So I got a question for you. So speaking of, you know, the penitentiary, and as you have alluded to, you know, before, and even during interviews that we've had, how did you, basically, I know that, you know, you stated that your childhood was a challenging childhood. Was that your motivator of things that you did?
In what sense?
That caused you to end up in the penitentiary?
Oh, okay. So yeah, of course it was a negative side to it. The whole ride was in the beginning a negative side, because this is what I want to. This is the most powerful thing that I realized, and I want to say: we don't perceive or see things through our eyes, even though we taught that. Our mind see things. We see things through our mind eye, and we take it in through our eyes, that our physical eyes on our face. So if your mind is blind, that means what you taking in and what you seeing, you blind to the fact as well. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, when you get your mind right and you elevate your mind, then what you see, you don't miss that opportunity. You know what I mean? So with that being said, the things that took place in the beginning of my life before prison, was also I was at a point of learning. I mean, I was still open to I was open and susceptible to what was taking place around me without no knowledge of or without no understanding. And so with that being said, once I went through the most painful moments in my life, which is trauma that I experienced. You have two types of trauma. You have complex and you have trauma. The difference between complex trauma and trauma is that in complex trauma, it's a continuous cycle. It's happening. It's like you kidnap somebody and put them in a closet and you only feed them once a day and you continue to abuse them. And then you have trauma. It only happened one time and then it goes on. Life goes on. You know what I'm saying? And in that can be outwardly or inwardly. You can take yourself through that. You can move yourself out of trauma into complex trauma by continuously feeding your mind with BS, being around BS, people, places, and things, and doing what those people, places, and things give you. You know what I'm saying? And being that my mind was open, that's the way I lived. That's what I was doing. I had the strength and power to be a leader, but I was following. I was still learning. The best of the leaders come out of following. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So yeah. So that's what led me down that path, was the hurt and pain that I didn't never understand. So it's like I had to replace that pain. I had to get away from it. So I ran into it, not knowing, because I didn't understand. I ran into it, and the more I ran into it, the more dealing with complex things, which caused complex trauma. I was seeing all kind of craziness and adapting to it. Feeling in my mind that I want to get away from this, and to get away from this makes me feel better because it ain't directly tied to me. But in all actuality, you know what I'm saying, it was self-sabotaging, self-destructive, you know what I'm saying?
So now you done got to the point whereas to you know, gotten yourself in. How old were you when you first went to prison?
I was probably like when I first hit the system, the judicial system, I was probably like maybe juvenile 14, 15. And then I went to adult by 16, 17. And then I was in prison by the time on my way to prison by the time I was 17. But when I hit prison, I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, how long did you do in prison?
I did in prison. I did what, 15? Well, it was actually 13, and then I finally got out, and then I went back in and did 2 more years.
Oh, okay, okay.
But before all that happened, the most traumatic part was that being the age that I was in the beginning, I was faced with death row. You know what I'm saying? I was faced with the death penalty, and at a young age, and that was real traumatic. But you know, the most traumatizing part at that point for me, being that I was in victim mode and being victim, whether I was being victimized or being the victimizer, I learned a lot about the system, and just like things struck me earlier, that struck me. And that's when I began, once I got to prison, to see how society viewed not just me, but people like me, and not just people like me, but people of color, of olive hue, and then the world at large, you know what I'm saying? And so, and that's speaking back to what you spoke about, you know, paying your debt to society and moving on. You know what I mean? I don't personally feel that we owe society anything.
Okay.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because throughout our life and throughout generations, this ideal, this concept have been the very thing that has caused this self-destruction, mutilation, and killing of the minds of not just my people, meaning olive hue people, but people all over the world, by the powers that be. So, you know what I mean? If anything, you know, we owe ourselves.
Okay.
We owe ourselves to debrief and destruct all the ideals and concepts that we done took on and rebuild. You know, because everything is utilized to continue on that pain and hurt. That's that trauma I'm talking about. That complex.
So in your book, in part of your book, you mentioned addiction. Can you talk about that a little bit?
How can I not? I specialized in that shit. I specialized in it just like we all do. You know what I'm saying? But for me personally, addiction was the illusion that made me feel better.
Okay, explain that to us.
I'm sorry?
Explain that to us when you say it made you feel better.
Well, like I mentioned, when we faced with adversity, or if our bodies or our minds are in a stressful situation, the first thing that we think about is, well, our body already have a defense mechanism, but we go past that and we think about, oh, we just want this pain to stop. We just want to get out of it. We don't want it to happen. So with what we're taught, with the things that surround us, the first thing that we do is we replace it. We put something in place to make us feel better temporarily, just to get through, whether it be a Band-Aid on a cut, or if it's some dope you snorting up your nose or putting it in your arm, or if you want to go gamble, or you want to sit at a table and become a fat boy or a fat girl and eat all day. You know what I'm saying? Either way it go, you replacing it because of something outside. I mean, that's deeper, or that's originally causing that for you to run. You know what I'm saying? And some people get trapped in that running and continuing to try to replace things, continuing trying to lie to themselves, continuing to try to run and think that eventually that they got away. But what they did was the habitual act became their reality.
Okay.
So is that something that is, you know, because I know that from an addiction standpoint, it's throughout our judicial system. I mean, it's all in the prisons. So how did you escape, or did you even escape it? When was that you were in prison? Was that something that was still a part of?
Wow, that's a good question. Damn, that's a damn good question. And here it is, you know, and it's funny you say that, because I want to say a real story. I want to tell you a real life story that I experienced and that I didn't even realize what was taking place in it until, man, 20 something years later. And so at that point, when I reached prison, I began to have a taste of freedom when I was in prison. And let me tell you.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. Tell me what you mean by that.
Okay. Come on.
Spiritually, my soul elevated. I wasn't no longer in prison. My mind was free because of the things that I explored, that I was able to, when it opened up, I was able to visualize outside them walls. I was able to travel outside them walls through reading, through contact with my family, listening what they doing, feeling the love of them visiting me. And then, of course, I can't never leave my mom out, man, as much as she did, you know what I'm saying? And being able to see those efforts, you know what I'm saying, took me to another level. Every time I went back to that yard, leaving her or leaving my sisters and brothers or leaving my daughter, you know what I'm saying, at the time, you know, gave me that strength and motivated. So I felt good. I felt free from all that pain and all that stuff that I was creating and living in my life wasn't there, you know. So then the next step, I began to learn, and so I thought about forgiveness. Now let me tell you about this point. At this point, there's a difference between theory and practice. So what I did was I educated myself.
You became a
What I
jailhouse
did
lawyer.
was I prayed every day, 5 times a day. What I did was I monitored my eating and what my intake was and how I ate, to where my body, my fat percentage was right on point, 6% fat body fat throughout my body. You know, I learned all these things, you know what I'm saying? That was the practice side of it. I mean, that was the theory side of it. When I came home, I was challenged. And that's where the separation came. I wasn't totally prepared like I thought I was. All the things I told my family, all the things I told people, and that shine they seen on me, and that potential they seen in me, when it came to action, when it came to really facing things, that went away. But let me tell you what came with that. I lost that level of that inclination, freedom that I was on, that level of freedom and all that spiritual. I lost that because of self-sabotage or me feeling like I don't fit. All that began to be what I fed myself. When I got away from that. And eventually I went back down that path. But before that point, the story I wanted to tell you was that throughout me and my mom's experience, man, she went through a hell of a lot with me. And she really showed me See, and that's where I got my strength from to keep going every day through my good, bad, and ugly. She showed me how to hang in there. She showed me what love was by what she did with me. You know what I'm saying? And the things she went through and how she supported it, how she made sacrifices. You know what I'm saying? And the things she gave up because she didn't want me to give up.
All right now.
You know what I'm saying? So through that, you know, I when I was in prison, I felt like, damn, man, all that shit is behind me. I'm free again. So I'm just gonna forgive it. I'm gonna forget it. But mind you, what I said, you know, it's a difference between theory and practice, right? So I came home excited, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, I want to tell my mom, the person that stuck with me, you know, one day that, you know, hey, I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? And she told me, you know, she said, leave the past in the past. Let that go. And my excuse was, you know what I'm saying, all the stuff that I've been through and all the pain, that's what you're going to tell me, to leave it in the past. And so through that, looking for that validation and looking to say, hey, you know, I appreciate it. I felt like that was an insult. But what I didn't realize was, or didn't consider, was what she went through. What I didn't realize and what I didn't consider is that she didn't want to go back through that. You feel me? And so I took that personal. And that was one of the things that made me strike out again. You know what I'm saying? Made me go in that direction. But it wasn't because of her that I'm saying that I struck out again and went back out there in the streets and started hustling. It was because the reality of it was, through my mind state, see, when people talk about addiction, they thinking it's just about drugs, but it's deeper than that. Like I told you in the beginning, you know what I'm saying, before you get to the drugs, you know what I'm saying, it's a lot of other stuff that you go through and the hurt and pain that you try to deal with. You try to get through that, and when you can't get through it, you replace it.
Exactly.
And my choice was I replaced it with drugs because that's what I knew. That's the environment that I was in, that I put myself in. And so it was easy for me to go back to that because that was that illusion. That was that thing that made me feel better because I didn't want to face the truth. I didn't want to face what was really happening in my life. I didn't want to accept that I need to own my own shit and step out there and get my shit together and become a responsible person because I didn't know how. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know because I spent so much time in this frame of mind and conditioning myself this way, to whereas that everything that I thought that was strong in that, everything that I thought that I took from that I thought I was winning, those were the same things I took to make me feel better or make me feel like I'm doing something different or I could get through it with those things. So that was my belief system until it caved in. So that's what I meant when I said that illusion, you know, that inclination of being free and all that stuff that I once was, you know what I'm saying, was put in the back of my mind because I had a new ideal, I had a new concept, you know what I'm saying, something different. I replaced it with that, but I hadn't practiced it, is my point.
Right.
To be strong in it, to stand in it, to be authentic, you know what I'm saying? Because I still had some learning to go.
So do you think? Go ahead,
Miss Kiwi. Sorry.
Do you think mental issues come from drugs?
Mental issues come from drugs. Over a period of time. Over a period of time, yes, I do. Not only that, I think the mental issue is really fed by those acts, because like I was speaking of in the traumatic situation, you know what I'm saying, we always want to replace that pain. We always want to replace those fears and those hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's just the point of how much you think your mind can expand in the moments, meaning that me using drugs for a prime example. You know what I'm saying? My mind can only take so much before I go crazy, or before I become an addict, before I didn't condition myself to believe that I need this to function. You know what I'm saying? That's the same way with mental issues. When you go through traumatic situations that hurt and pain, and you continue to experience that, or you continue to feed yourself that, eventually you become paranoid. Eventually you become a believer of thinking that it's something wrong with you when you hear something outside yourself, in yourself. You know what I mean? Meaning hearing voices or something. Or you start acting out. That means your body done got tired. That means your body, it can't go no more. And now it's telling you by acting, it's coming out of you. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe that when people begin to realize that trauma is real, mental illness is real, emotions is real, and then begin to accept that, and educate them on that why, when, and how, and what it's all about, then they can begin that healing process. And see, I'm talking in a broad perspective right now, but this can go to the smallest and simple thing to the biggest thing. I can't determine what affects another person, but I know what affects me. And in seeing that, and then realizing it along the way, you begin to be able to point certain things out and say, hey, I can relate to that. And that's where this came from. But I don't know this person of being like this. I didn't know this person used drugs, and maybe they didn't. Why they acting like this? That's because it stems from that deep hurt and pain. It stems from that trauma. It may not be the same as mine. You know what I'm saying? You may not went through the same thing that I went through, or you can relate, or you get relativity. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it is that if you don't deal with it, it's going to be a cycle. It's going to keep raising up in front of you. It's still going to come. It's going to happen. It's guaranteed. And then that's why you always ask yourself, damn, how does this get back in my life? Why this doing this? Or why they doing that? Because you're too busy pointing your finger outside yourself.
All right now.
So let me ask you this. So at the point that you are now, well, before it is that I do that, I had kind of wrote something, because I remember when it is. Do you remember when you were first locked up, or when before it was that you went to federal prison, that when the kids would come out there and see you, you told me that you used to have them sing a song. What was that song?
My niece, she always did to be inspired singing, first of all, you know what I'm saying? So she thought she could sing at the age of probably 6 or 7, like, or younger than that.
I thought that was Joshua who sung it.
That was Brittany.
Huh?
Oh, nothing. Go ahead, finish. I thought
She used to
sing.
They used to become a choir for me. They used to sing "You Are My Sunshine," and that was so inspirational to me. I'll never forget that. And she used to sing that all the time. Every time she came to see me, and that was that bright up moment. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I never forget that. You know, when she sung that. But on another note, when you were speaking about accountability and how we want to change, and it's just my theory, it's my opinion, and maybe it's because of where I'm at and the things that I have gone through within just the last 2 years on my journey and my shadow work and really trying to heal myself. I think that the only way, and don't, quote me or not, or don't believe it, I'm okay with that, because to each his own. I think the only way is that we all have to go back and get that child. And what I mean by that is that little you. Go back and grab them and bring them back. Bring them to the point you at. And when you begin to believe that and accept that, you'll see that, damn, how far apart, how different you are from that person or the ideas of that child you had to the person you became. And then that's when you'll begin to recognize your journey. You'll begin to recognize that you need to heal. See, because we don't know, everybody don't think that they got trauma in their life. Right. You got generational trauma if you ain't got nothing else. Okay. And what I mean by generational trauma, if you all of you and you done lived in America, you didn't experience some trauma. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how you got through that, that's another key. How you got through it and how you dealt with it is one of the answers of how you gonna heal. If you replaced it, you put something else in place of it, you begin to sell your body, you begin to dance, you begin to all whatever you did. You replaced that trauma. You never faced it. You never dealt with it.
So is that what it is? Is that what it is that is helping you now? Is grabbing that little mic in the back and bringing Mike to the front?
That little itch your mooney in the back.
No doubt. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that because, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna put this out here. I'm most definitely gonna tell this because it's needed and it's already in the book anyway. But when I was young, I went into a foster care. I went into a children's home, and when I got to the children's home, the priest and one of the, I guess I don't know what you call them, but we would know them as deacons or whatever. It's a Catholic home, and that's how they ran their system. I got molested. And that was one of those, my first traumatic situation. Well, my first traumatic situation, and I got to speak on this, and this might offend somebody, but I'm going to tell you, this has been so much of a helpful tool for me to be able to learn to love my women, love my mother, love my sisters, because I didn't never know why I walked around and it seemed like I was so mad at women all the time and the abuse that I done subjected them to, you know what I'm saying? And so my first traumatic situation was when I was taken there. I was a child and I was taken by my mom. And I'm gonna clear something up about that because I don't want to leave it out there like this was something that she was a bad parent, because she was never a bad parent, never that. But I was taken by my mom, the first woman in my life that betrayed me. That's so I felt. And from that point on, a woman couldn't betray me. And not only that, the flip side of that, I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to deal in no relationships because I was so paranoid and struck from that situation throughout my whole life. I carried that to the point to whereas that I ain't trust no woman. And I put that out there because I want people to realize, man, and look at themselves, man, when you're looking at another human being or another person, especially the relationships between black men and black women, that, you know what I'm saying, this is where the power is. This is where the love is at. But you can't begin to look through their lens and look at them like that until you begin to heal, until you begin this process or that journey of really facing your problems within yourself. So I wanted to say that first and foremost. The second thing I wanted to address was, like I was saying, was I got molested. And when I got molested, that added on to the betrayal. But I remember, and this what really kind of brought the beast out of me, is that I remember when I was in there, the last time that they came in that room and tried to molest me, I had sharpened me some pencils up. And I said, yeah, this is going to be the last time somebody hurt me or anybody else that's weak, because I looked at us being children, that them being grown men, that they had the upper hand. And I remember sticking one of them in their neck. Excuse me, I know we broadcasted, but I was a little kid. I ain't had no defense or whatever, but I ran away. I got away from there. But by then I was already hurt. I was already in self-destruct mode and sabotaging mode. And from there, I left from there, went to the streets of St. Louis, started hanging out, selling drugs. Then I went from there and went to California, got in the gang, started gang banging and flying back and forth at a young age. This was all before prison. And that was my life. You know what I'm saying? And that was my hurt. That was my pain. And the only thing freed me was to hurt other people. Because like it said, it's a true statement and I believe it. Hurt people hurt people.
Yep. Hurt people
You know
do
what I'm
hurt
saying?
people.
And so that carried on. You know, and so as I stand here today and the things that I say, I don't say this because I'm trying to talk or impress somebody or this and that. This is real life shit. This is real life stuff that happened to me and how it damaged me so much. It inspired me to be an example for y'all.
So what would you say, because, you know, you have young men listening, you have young people listening, because that's a part of our vision, is for us to bridge that gap between the youth and the seasoned generation. So what would you say to them? Because it's so much going on now. These young men and even little boys are taking lives and you know, they don't have any guidance and it's hard. I mean, you know, it's really hard. Even the young women, the guidance is not there. And a lot of role models don't, you know, give off a not a pretty good role model image neither.
Right.
You know, so a lot of our kids and youth and everything is lost. So what would you say, especially from the experience that you had, and to help deter them from what it is that they're doing? They don't care about killing. They don't care about going to prison either.
Well,
so
well, first let me say this. I want to clear something up. Sometimes I get emotional and I get to cursing. I do have a better vocabulary than that, and I want to apologize to y'all or to apologize to y'all for saying that. But I mean, I speak from my heart. But I want to address that and say that this is what we're talking about. That debt to society. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have turned inwardly now. We have taken that debt we owe ourselves, that we have given away everything we got, and we have became bankrupt as individual people, as a person, as a human being. The things that God blessed us with from the jump, we have given it away to the point now we enraged. We out here self-destructing, because that's how we go. When you hurt someone else or you hurt your own people, you're only destroying yourself. But what I would love to be able to say and take time out to really get across to them is that, and to everybody, that is very important that we need to see that hurt for what it is, where it came from. Why you feel so angry? Why you feel like this person is such a threat? Why you feel like you gotta destroy that person for you to be alive, or for you to be up and they be down? See, that's the whole key, because in reality, why you feel like that, why you doing that, is because you feel like a piece of shit. Because you don't understand who you are. You don't have knowledge of self. So you don't know nothing about the virtues and the harmonies of life that make you stand up and appreciate the gifts and be happy, and to be able to move amongst your own people and show love without showing a complex, because that's what you got, a complex. That's what, because you don't want nobody else to see that. So you think you're a tough guy. You think you living and you got people shook. But the reality is you really shook, because you acting out off of fear. And anybody that know that about a tough guy, that you really scared. You only moving like that because you trying to defend what you don't want nobody else to see.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, like, not attacking. I'm saying that to say, man, we need to build. We need to get together, man, and face that pain. See, because when I was young, I was taught not to cry. Crying is a healing process. If you plan on healing, you got to cry. In order for you to cry, you got to accept who you is.
Mm-hmm.
That don't make you not a man. That don't make you not who somebody with dignity or who want to stand up. I didn't want to make the mistake and say make you a tough guy, because that's an illusion anyway. That's up under them categories of fear. You know what I'm saying? So what I say to him, man, you know what I mean? I think we need to go within. I really think you need to start paying attention to your own actions. Mm-hmm. When you go to act a certain way, ask yourself, damn, how I look doing this. Not what somebody else think, because you know when you get into that little still voice in that little quiet room, you're going to repeat all this back in your head, and you know how you're going to feel. You're going to feel them emotions from that. So I think, you know what I'm saying, change is inevitable. I think it's time for, you know, the truth to really be called out. I think it's time. People say, I remember my dad told me one time, he said, and he blew my mind with it, because later on I began to understand it. He told me that we got 3 truths in his life, and he used 3. I think it's a little more than that, but he said we got 3 truths in this world we live in. We got our truth. That means how we perceive things, how we take it in, and then let it run through our filter. And once it run through our filter, then we make it what it is. Then we got the truth, which the truth is when the collective come together and say, hey, yeah, this is what it is. And then everybody in agreement, you got your yes mans and all this kind of stuff. And then that becomes somebody's reality. That's why they use the term fact. Then we got God's truth, universal law. We got what it is in this 3D realm that a lot of us don't see. A lot of us ain't even prepared for, ain't even understanding why. Want to relate it, put titles on everything else but what it really is. You know what I'm saying? And God's truth is law, you know. Yeah. And until we get back to that medium, till we return back to the Garden of Eden, or that balance, or whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? Right now, all I can say is, like, you know, a quote I put in my book that was in the Circle 7 that I never forget. It says, the gifts of understanding are the treasure of God. He appointed to everyone what measure seeming good to himself. He say, had thee endured thee with wisdom, had thee enlightened thy mind with knowledge. He say, consult with the wise for thy own improvement. Consult with the ignorant for their instruction. So an ignorant person, a dummy, a crash dummy, you can put them in the front seat and run them into the wall, and you still gonna learn from them.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm gonna say everyone, because I'm on page 77 of the book. And when I say it is a dynamic read, there is even reviews on it that's already out there. And the book is just now been out for a little under a month.
17th, yeah.
Yeah, a little under, well, tomorrow it'll be a month.
Yeah.
But it is a very awesome read. It's on Amazon right now, and I know that it'll soon be on Barnes and Noble. And what was the other one? It's international.
Yeah,
it is international.
It's in the UK. It's in Thailand. It's in Mexico. It's in America, of course.
Yes.
You know, Amazon.com. It's in Barnes and Nobles. It's on there. It's in Kindle. You can get it in Kindle. And then, of course, you can come to, you know, True Souls of Grace Management LLC, the Square site, and you can get the book there too. And you can hit me up on True Souls of Grace, Instagram, Facebook, and you could get it there. And I'm quite sure, you know what I'm saying, if you holler at one of the hosts here on Why Not Say It, they can get you plugged in too. You know what I'm saying? It's an amazing platform. Y'all got to follow through and check this out. Follow them. They got some real informational episodes going on. You know what I mean? So stick with it. But most definitely go cop that book. You know
Tell us what you got coming up.
Read it. And
What you got
remember, this is
coming
just
up?
the first phase. This is the first one because this is the example. This is what it is. This is just an example. You know what I'm saying? Well, a lot of people like, damn, man, you know, this is not one of them gangster books. This is not one of them sagas of Pimpin' Ken or somebody else. This is one of them books where, you know what I'm saying, you can really see the destruction of America through the eyes of a young black man. What America caused, you know, what America turned out, I say. You know what I'm saying? And look for that next one.
So MP,
my soul.
MPZ. Can you hear me, MPZ?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What's up, Miss Kiwi?
Can you tell us what you got coming up next, or what you got in in the works? Do you have something else coming up? Any films? Any movies? More books? What you got going on?
Well, right now, I like I just said, I got my mind, my body, my soul, and high self, lower self. I'm working on that too. I think I'm taking a little more time with this one because I really want to do. I really want to express myself on another level in that book, so you can see a kind of diverse MPZ. Got Blue Phoenix Gallery, as you can see on the wall right here. This is one of my artworks right here. Gotta be coming your way. It's more and more. You know, I do custom work too. You can call. You can hit me up, like I said, True Souls of Grace at Gmail, and order you a custom painting, or go on Square and put in True Souls of Grace, and you can order your custom painting. I got t-shirts, Blue Phoenix Gallery t-shirts, True Souls of Grace, TSOG, which is True Souls of Grace abbreviated. A line that's gonna eventually be coming that I'm gonna work on, and that's it. Yeah, of course, I'm always shooting, I'm always filming because I got a passion for that. I write scripts too, so I'm always doing that, and I'm just learning, man. I'm really in this space where, you know, I'm letting my angels guide me. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting God guide me, and whatever He say be, kun fire kun, it be and it is. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So, Fastlane, do you have anything to say to MPZ before we kind of like tie it up or anything?
Well, I enjoyed the interview, and I want to know when we're going to shoot that video, Poppy. That's what I want to know.
my man. Hey, listen, as you were speaking about that, bro, so I just tied with this organization. I also want to send a shout out to this organization, powerful organization. It's called RDSF. You know what I'm saying? That's the Reggie Dion Smith Foundation, and they are making some power moves. But the point that I was saying that, you know, they put me around some real powerful equipment, and the footage that we have. I most definitely have the time that I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to get that over to you, and whatever we need to add, take away, we're going to have that video shot soon. And I'm telling you guys, the video is going to be hot because it's got to match the capacity and the level Money on My Mind is on. You know what I'm saying? Song of 747, and if you ain't heard it yet, or you thought you heard it, you're gonna eventually hear it again, and this time you're gonna see the visual, and you're gonna want to comp that. And see, and if you have it and you ain't playing it, that's gonna be on you. You're gonna wish you had.
All right now, all right.
I highly appreciate you, man. And that's, hey, we gonna go to work like we always do. You know, we just shot a little bit in the A-Town. I'm gonna come back down there soon, and we gonna work. We gonna bring 2023, yeah, right?
Yo.
All right.
I'm constantly working, man. You know, the main work for me now is, you know, self-work, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got coming. And just sharing myself to those that, you know what I'm saying, want a way out, man. Want a different way of thinking, man. Really want to live life and be at peace. You know what I'm saying? And peace ain't a thing that you can relate to material goods or anything outside yourself. Peace is within. And that's just, you know, relinquish yourself, to let go
All right now. All right. Well, we would like to thank you so much for stopping by and sharing with us.
Sure.
Y'all make sure y'all go out and get that book. Make sure you get it.
Please support. Please support.
Yes. And just to kind of leave us with it, our topic on tonight, as a society, as a people on a whole, and especially as brown people, we need to be able to support one another, but not only support. Once it is that our men and women have served their time for whatever fault it is, because just remember, just because it is that you haven't gone to prison, think about if you are actually in prison within yourself. So we can't continue to hold them hostage, and they've done the time in this so-called judicial system, when we are held hostage ourselves within ourselves. We gotta release, and a lot of that was alluded to by impede. You have to search deep in your soul, and then you can let a lot of things go, and therefore you can be in cohesiveness with other people as well, and you won't judge so much. We got to stop judging, because we don't have that power. God does. We don't.
Hey, what? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I ain't seen Raw or Kiwi in the building 747. I ain't seen them. I know I heard their voices. What y'all back there hiding out?
No, sir, baby. We stay in the building. You can't see me, baby.
I can't see. All right,
then let me take them old.
It's like I got a straight shot looking into the studio.
Oh, okay.
I don't even see y'all on the sideline.
Oh, okay. Well, baby, you might not see me, but you can hear me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, y'all go out and y'all comp that book, Lose Your Mind, Find Your Soul by impede, baby.
Yes. And we want to thank you for being our special guest. This was very, very enlightening. We're going to have you back another time on a different topic, because we always have the best topics. And like I stated, we want to reach everyone. This is not just for certain people. This is for everybody. We want everyone to come in and express yourself. Speak your piece. Most definitely.
Yes.
I'll definitely come back if you invite me back. I will come back. I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
Okay.
Miss Mink, shout out your business real quick and let the people know what your business is.
True Souls of Grace.
All right. Thank you, MPZ. Miss Mink, let me hear what your businesses are.
Which one?
Any of them? Just shout them out real quick.
Okay, so it is down here in the ATL, Minky Dustbusters. I also have a travel business, Miss Mink Luxury Travels, and I also have online boutique, Miss Mink Miss Mink Fashions Next Level 2.0.
All right. Fast Lane, tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, we got Exotic Nature. We also got Exotic Nature clothing line coming. We got Exotic Nature food store coming pretty soon. We also got Skyscrapers carrier service. So we grinding, we working hard. Plus we also got Medellin Mafia music in the building for sure.
In the building,
Steady
baby,
pushing.
in the
Costa
building.
Nostra for life.
All right,
Miss Key, where you
all right. Shout out to Panther Soul Creators. We make sweatsuits, hats. You name it, baby. I might can make it. Shoes, underwear. It's
baby a pamper.
I'm trying to tell you, it's no limit over here, baby. We're gonna keep on pushing on through. And of course, I do hair. So yeah, let's keep these jobs pushing.
That's right. And I also want to send a shout out to Culminates.
Yes,
granola business.
You must go get it.
Out of Texas, but it was generated from Hawaii.
Yes.
So go to culminates.com. Comp your granola. When I say that is the premium stuff,
man.
Show you.
When you taste it, you're gonna love it. And we're not just saying it.
Presentation is everything.
Yes.
Come on, you gotta love it.
Yes, so please go to coolanola.com and comp your granola. It is the best. Premium.
The best.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Let's do it.
Yes, most definitely. This was an awesome show. Really enjoyed everything. The conversation and the education was awesome. MPZ, keep your head up. No matter what society say, you got it above that. So, hey, like you stated, through God, all things can happen.
All right,
keep
y'all.
your head up and keep it going.
All right, stay tuned to next Friday. We got another hot topic next Friday. Same time. Why not say it? Peace.
Yes. All right. Good night, everyone.
We outside. Rain, sleet, and snow. We on the set. I say my hood been bumping since 88. Hey. I say my hood been bumping since 88. Yeah. I say the hood been pumping since 88. A bunch of track stars out here keep the Air Max laid. So when the task force rage, you better hit that gate. Too many Dracos out here, you don't want that case. The hood been pumping since 88. A bunch of track stars out here keep the Air Max laid. So when the task force rage, you better hit that gate. Too many Dracos out here, you don't want that case. It ain't nothing but another day on the dough set, waiting for some fools to roll up a county to sweat. Cause it's an everyday thing in my